tonight or wants to.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Zoom. The recording will not record your faces, so do not worry. Feel free to have your camera on or off. And as per always, I'm going to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I live, which is the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nations. And I'd like to acknowledge all of the lands on which all of you guys are currently living on, wherever that is tonight. We would like to pay our respects to their elders emerging. If this is your first Climates presentation, welcome. Even if it's not, welcome. Everyone's equally welcome. But for those who aren't new,
your own thing, so no video at the moment.
Very good.
Sorry.
Climates, do you want to wave so everyone knows who our Climate members are? You will get to meet everyone throughout this presentation. But basically, we are just a group of friends who are largely concerned about the state of our earth and are working together to try to do our bit to change what we can. Our motto is that action is the antidote to fear. So these seminars are a way that we can do that by teaching all of you guys things that we learn and spreading the message. So thank you for letting us do that, because it makes us feel really good, and also hopefully it is helping the planet. Feel free to follow us on Instagram if you're not already, __climates __. We've just cracked 200 followers, so thank you all who are already following us. We do some fun things over there, so we'd love you to follow us. Tonight probably will only take 30-40 minutes, then you can continue to live your lives. But we also would love you to use the chat box in here. If you have any questions or comments or anything along the way, please be as interactive as you want. Any praise, words of encouragement you want to send our way, we would love. If you have any ideas as well, please jot them down as we go, because we'd love to have a chat at the end if anything comes to mind throughout the presentation. But I think that is all, and let's get into it. Amazing. Thank you, Jessie, our official clicker this evening. So as we know, Christmas is obviously the most wonderful time of the year. It is a really beautiful time where you can see your family and your friends and everything looks pretty and sparkly, and the spirit of giving and love is really abundant. That is what we as Climates would love the festive season to be about. But unfortunately, with our culture of excess, the environment is really struggling to keep up with the waste that is coming along with it. And sort of the waste culture is growing year on year. So we would love this presentation to not only teach you some tips and tricks about how we can have a better impact on our earth, but the festive season can also sort of ignite some personal stress and anxiety. You know, the Christmas countdown may spark a lot of joy for some people. It may also spark a lot of fear for some people, which can result in panic buying and just generally not a good time, which we don't think the point of Christmas is. And we would love to bring some of the joy back for everyone. So that is our why behind this presentation. And along with us and Snoop, we hope you enjoy. Next slide, please, Jessie. This is what we're going to be going through tonight: gifting, wrapping, decoration, trees, and food. My two disclaimers are: do not fear, no Christmas joy will be squashed in the delivery of this presentation. Yes, there will be some shocking facts, as always with us, but solutions, and we are upbeat. So do not fear. And also my other disclaimer is just not to feel guilty about anything. As everything we do, it is just to educate, open your mind to certain things or different ideas, and take with that what you will moving forward. No one has any need to feel bad or guilty about anything that comes up. Saying all of that, I'm going to pass over to the lovely Maeve.
Thanks, Sal. In the spirit of not crushing any seasonal joy, before I spit some of those big numbers at you about how much cash we spend on Christmas gifts, please remember that this big number is merely a representation of how much we all love each other and how much we want our loved ones to feel special and loved during the festive season. Like, we love each other, but it's a lot. So much so that last year, Aussies forked out about $24 billion on everything from presents to pina coladas. that's enough money to buy 2,000 apartments, or half of Twitter if you're Elon Musk, or like 1,200 islands in the Great Barrier Reef. It's a lot of money. Individually, we each kind of spend about $1,200, and that can be on anything from presents to food to alcohol to eating out, and that's including travel as well. So a lot of us live far from home, and it takes us a bit to get there. And an estimated 20 million of those gifts that we give are unwanted. So although we might love each other a lot, it sounds like maybe we could get to know each other a little better. Next slide, please, Jessie. But all is not lost. There are a bunch of different ways that we can spend less, waste less, and care more. Maybe you don't need to get everyone a Prezi. Last year I did this. We tried shooting off a strategic, hey, how would you feel about not doing gifts this year? Let's share some good food, good wine, good company instead, to try and avoid the unnecessary waste. But failing the 100% Grinch approach, you could consider a Secret Santa. In our family, we do the stealing version, which makes it even more kind of competitive and fun. But top tip for that one, try to avoid novelty gifts because they usually end up in the bin. Unless, of course, it's something like a Christmas themed toilet paper, which is excellent value, excellent use, and can leave a really nice festive pattern on your behind. But there are all sorts of good options out there, like memberships, tickets, experience days, that also have the added bonus of supporting local businesses. You can choose charity gifts that swap out physical gifts in lieu of a donation to someone who needs it more, or a cause that is close to your heart, hint, hint, climate change. Or you can gift green. You could buy someone some cute printed tote bags or some beeswax wraps, keep cups, drink bottles. There are a lot of really great sustainable options out there. And here are some other options. 10% of us already opt for homemade gifts to try and keep costs down, and to kind of make things a little bit more personal. And they don't always have to look homemade, if you know what I mean. So a couple of the examples that we've got here, we've got like some Christmas themed cookies on the top left, if you're a super artistic decorator. One of the climates, I can't remember who it was saying, yeah, I'm not really great at like making stuff, but I can definitely dig up some plants and stick them in a jar. And these look really cute. Jessie made the image third from the left, the Finska. She didn't even have to buy the wood. She went to Bunnings and asked them if they had any offcuts. And so even the wood itself, she didn't buy, painted it all, looked really great. On the top right, there is some body scrub, which is basically like some citrus peel, some sugar, and some coconut oil. Bottom left, there is some infused vodkas. We've got some bath salts, homemade, is it bath salts? Bath salts or seasoned salt with different herbs and kind of essences. Or you could do some jams or oils. There's so many options. Edibles are always a great option. But yeah, DIY that actually looks good. Over to you, Jessie.
Hello. I'm a prawn, by the way, a Christmas prawn, in case that hadn't translated for everybody. So I'm going to jump in and chat about some Christmas wrapping and card giving, and how we can minimize our footprint and reuse where we can. So first, the shocker stats. So wrapping paper alone, even just for us Australians, 150,000 kilometres of wrapping paper is used just at Christmas time. So that's not birthdays or anything else. And it's enough to wrap around the Earth's equator 4 times just for Australian wrapping paper, which is nuts. And in terms of Christmas cards, I couldn't find an Australian stat, but for American households, they send and receive 28 cards each. And I did the maths on this. So for even just the country of America, that adds up to 3.3 billion cards. And I found out that it takes one tree to make 30,000 Christmas cards. So just for the US alone, it takes 106 million trees to produce all the Christmas cards that are sent and received just in the US. So that was really like kind of mind blowing for me. And so that's just wrapping paper and the cards, and then there's all the other bits that go with it, the ribbons and the bows and the glitter. That's, you know, microplastics and other bits of plastic that aren't particularly easily recyclable either. So there's a lot to think about when we go to wrapping and dressing our prezzies. So some greener options or things to think about when you're dressing those prezzies is one of the easiest things, I think, to cut down on the amount of packaging and waste is to just say no when you're in the store as well. I wanted to use Lavisa as an example because occasionally I'll just go and buy a pair of like everyday earrings there, and they'll be like, you know, trying to Mr. Bean it and like wrap it all up and put in the tissue paper, then put it in the pouch and then put it in the box. And I'm like, no, I'm about to put them on my ears. Don't worry. So there's a lot that we can just refuse straight from the get-go, which minimizes how much might be going to the trash in the end. Reuse what you can before buying. I know this takes like a little bit of prep work, but I'm like, got this box that I keep in my storeroom at home that's got like all the leftover ribbon and all the leftover everything that come off, all bits and pieces. This is some paper that was wrapped around some flowers that I received. This is a wine gift bag that I thought was just really nice. It's got this like foil running through it, and I didn't want to just send it to recycling, so I keep it and I can make little gift tags out of it or wrap other bits and pieces. But yeah, that takes a little bit of prep to build up a box like that. And other things that you can use reusable are, you know, you could use like in the pictures here, like these little sacks that are reusable, or there's like this Japanese reusable wrapping technique called furoshiki, which is using like a scarf or something where you can actually just wrap it up as well, which I think actually looks really, really nice. And then it's also like an add-on gift to the person you're giving to, where they can reuse it and pass it on, and everybody kind of gets a little bit of, to enjoy a little bit of that as it does the rounds. Another ways to, cut down on be more green with wrapping is to use less sticky tape. I made an example to show you guys of one that I'd made. I think there's an example on the next slide as well, but I wrapped this up this evening, and it's made out of an Uber Eats bag. So I've just kind of cut up the Uber Eats bag and then used some ribbon that came off a bunch of flowers that I had. There's no sticky tape involved in it at all, so because you can't recycle that sticky tape. And then I just went and picked a lovely flower from the garden that you can just slip in there as well. And I think it's really effective way to just reuse what you already have. What else do I have? Yeah, the girls found these examples online. So even Sal's been collecting her Who Gives a Crap wrapping, because it's really fun wrapping from her loo paper rolls, to be able to wrap and reshare those. And same with even just being able to reuse different types of paper and maybe make some of your own prints like that. I think that must be, you know, like a potato print or something you can reuse. And I also wanted to talk about things to consider when you're buying wrapping paper or disposing as well. With, like keep a box, hold on to things that you think could be reusable, but also if you're having to purchase new stuff, think about what the person you're giving to might be able to do to dispose of or to reuse what you're giving them as well. So I think we all wish that we could just pop stuff in the recycling bin and it magically gets recycled, but unfortunately if we put stuff in the recycling bin at the end of when Christmas is a wrap, we risk contaminating a lot of the other good recycling work that everybody's done throughout that season. So none of that wish cycling, really do look into what can be done with those. So there's a few telltale things, like in this picture example, the foil that's used in that wrapping, that is actually like a hybrid, and they can't separate out the paper and the plastic, which is the foil, in the recycling process. So that's one to kind of avoid if you can when buying wrapping paper. Same with glitters, because that's just microplastics, like plastics, but just in a really micro form. There's certain things like, wrapping papers that have like a little bit of felt on them as well. they can't be recycled. And even tissue paper as well, I thought that would be okay, but apparently like the fiber from the tissue paper can't really easily be recycled because it's so thin. It's just a few things to think about on that front. And then briefly on gift cards and gift tags, and again, I have an assortment of examples. First of all, e-cards. I'm personally not a fan of sending e-cards myself, but I am fond of a little bit of crafting. So an e-card to me is a bit of a waste of opportunity to get my crafting stuff out. But e-cards is also a very environmentally friendly way to share that Christmas cheer. So don't discount that as an option. But you can do DIY cards. My sister Emily, this is a card I made for you and Max last year that never ended up, or maybe the year before, that never ended up getting sent. There's also a couple of cards on screen down the bottom that I made a few years ago as well, which were quite fun and I think effective as well. You can make gift cards out of like old bits and pieces. Like I got this gift bag for Christmas a few years ago and I would have reused it except it ripped. But I thought the little stockings were quite fun. So you can cut out little bits and now I can make that a little gift tag now and it's all a bit fun. What else did I have? Oh, Maeve suggested doing like something out of organics, like using autumn leaves, or I was thinking you could maybe use driftwood or like a fun looking stick. Oh, here she is modeling, modeling the leaf gift tags that she's used previously. Yeah. You were going to show that in your part of the presentation. Maybe made a really cool jar of stuff with like, I think it was date night activities or to put in the jar. And how cool is that for a handmade, like homemade gift, like really thoughtful. You can't put a price tag on that, people. You can't put a price tag on it. The other things I wanted to show you is I found these really fun plantable cards as well. They actually have, these ones have Swan River daisy seeds in them and they're made out of 100% recyclable paper, like a pulp. And when you're finished with the message, you can just soak them and then plant this and it can grow into something nice. So I really liked that idea. And it was also a good reminder to me as well with this, that the bigger isn't always better. So even like this card is the size of like 4 regular, or like maybe not 4, maybe 3, third of the size of a regular card. So the amount of waste for one bigger card is the same as 3 of these smaller ones. So another thing to look at. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was what I really like is with old Christmas cards as well. Like if someone's written on just one side, that you can like rip off the front to make your own little gift tags. You still get that nice message that's been written, but you can then forward it on and it's like 2 cards for the environmental cost of 1. Cool. Sorry, that was a bit of a download, but there we go. I think I am passing on to Stacey.
Correct.
Great.
So I'll be talking about the sneaky Christmas tradition that is Christmas crackers. So whilst they might seem like a really harmless tradition, they're actually a massive contributor to landfill. So last year alone, 150 million Christmas crackers were sold in the UK. And to help paint a picture of what that is globally, each year enough Christmas crackers are disposed of that equate to just over 1,200 Mount Everest stacked upon each other. So when you visualize that, that is just so much waste produced just from Christmas crackers, which is crazy. And when you actually break down the Christmas cracker, nothing in there is actually designed to last. So all the packaging is completely disposable. The toys are 99% of the time plastic. They have one-wear hats that break as soon as you kind of put them on. They have really shitty dad jokes as well, which I know we've all experienced, and really like kind of snappy internal parts. But don't worry, we know these are a really fun Christmas tradition. So we've brainstormed some solutions for you. They're a little bit greener. So here are some cracker alternatives. So the first one is kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. It's utilizing your napkins in creating a really cool Christmas cracker. The number 2 is reusable. So investing in Christmas crackers that you can utilize for the rest of your life. And internally you can, as we've kind of described before, you know, if you're baking something like little cookies, you put them inside, or little herbs if you're growing them. Which I think Sally has seen my array of herbs I'm currently growing at the moment. Little things that you're already kind of sustainably growing you can utilize as gifts inside, or even just writing really cute notes for your family and friends. The other option is DIY, so utilizing toilet rolls and like paper that you have lying around the house already. And then we wanted to provide another solution for those that are a little bit time poor. There's actually an Australian company called Conscious Crackers. It's completely Australian owned and manufactured, and it's all plastic free, sustainable products. Everything is recycled. So we can give a link later down the track to this company. But for those that don't have time to make your own, it's a really good backup option than buying a store-bought one. We also know one of the most fun things to do at Christmas is decorating your house. So we've had a bit of brainstorm of some easy swaps that you can do this year to make your decorating a little bit more green. So number 1 is, again, investing in decorations that you know that you love, that you can keep for the rest of your lives, not buying single-use decorations that you'll chuck out. Avoid anything that is made of plastic. Instead, look for paper or wood, because these are products that can be broken down over time, whereas plastic will stay in landfill forever. Use materials that are either going to go to waste or repurpose them into something beautiful. And I have a really cute example of that. On the weekend, my partner and I went to a really cute farmer's market in Red Hill, and there was a little old lady who'd repurposed all the old wool that she had during COVID and made all these really cute little Christmas decorations that we bought. And I thought it was just such a nice example of how she just repurposed something old she was lying into her house and something that's going to be really beautiful on our Christmas tree this year. And it also just makes it a little bit more special because, you know, someone put their hard work into creating it as well. Something that's really easy is turning your Christmas lights off when you're not home or when you're not basting in them, just to make sure that you're saving energy. And in regard to outdoor lighting, just making sure you're swapping any kind of old Christmas lights to LED or solar powered lights. Another big one is on Christmas Day. A lot of the time people are time poor, and you purchase plastic or paper cutlery and plates just to make cleaning a little bit easier. But if you don't have that cutlery already at home, or those plates, just tell your friends and family to BYO their own. They're your friends and family. They won't mind bringing their own plates and cutlery, and it just really does help reduce your effect on landfill during Christmas. And last but not least is doing your own. So creating really fun, beautiful decorations with things that you have around your house that you won't need to purchase. So number 1 is drying out citrus fruits. As you can see here, they make such beautiful decorations that you can hang on your tree or throughout your house. Also utilizing plants like rosemary to create really beautiful wreaths. Also any other kind of plants as well. Utilizing things that you can find on your walk, like a pine cone, so simple, tying a ribbon that you might already have at home, putting it on your Christmas tree. It looks so beautiful. And then, as I touched on earlier, just utilizing old things like toilet rolls and things that you have in the house to create your Christmas crackers will significantly reduce the waste that you have during Christmas. And I think I'm passing on to, I've already forgotten. So I think the next person.
It's me.
It's you, Sally.
It's me again. So I'm going to be talking about the humble Christmas tree, or as I have found in my research, not so bloody humble. So in the US alone, there are 40 million Christmas trees that are cut down each year, and that's just in America. And once the tree obviously has lived its best life in your living room, bringing all the Christmas joy, majority of them are ending up in landfill, and that is where the problem lies. So the issue isn't really the growing and the using of the trees, because obviously while they're growing, they're doing good things for producing oxygen. But it is once they end up in landfill, they do start to rot, and an average 6-foot Christmas tree actually produces around 16 kilos of carbon dioxide, so straight into increasing our greenhouse gas emissions. So that is really where the problem lies, with the incorrect disposal of our Christmas trees. But do not give up hope. Next slide, please, Jessie. You can absolutely still have a glorious Christmas tree. You just need to be conscious about which journey is best for you and do things a bit more thorough. So I know that people have very strong, loyal opinions about whether you have a real Christmas tree or a fake Christmas tree. I'm here to give you an unbiased opinion on the pros and cons of both. So fake artificial Christmas trees are great, obviously, because you can use them every year for the rest of your life. Feel free to even hand it down to the next generation and they can keep using it. As long as you take care of it and store it and put it away properly, they should last forever. I mean, you're really only using it every year for like a month, or if you're Demi, like 3 months, but still, it's not that long in the year. So we should be able to keep these forever without them getting tatty. And in my opinion, they are easier to decorate and therefore you can have a more pristine looking Christmas tree. The cons, obviously it is made from plastic. That means it will never break down and they are on this earth forever, which we all know the problem with plastic. So they won't break down. And also being plastic, it is made from toxins and a really awful manufacturing process for the people working in the factories and also for our planet. Another con, obviously wear and tear. If you're not taking care of it properly, or you have like a dog or a terror baby who will pull down your Christmas tree, they can wear and tear and then look really shit. Real Christmas tree pros, they are obviously being a renewable resource. You can grow and cut it and grow and cut it, as long as you are doing that over and over. While they are growing and living as trees, they are contributing to air quality and doing great things for our environment. If you dispose of the tree properly, they can be recycled into mulch, which then goes back into the earth and is great for the garden. So if you are doing all of it correctly, it's a completely waste-free way to have Christmas joy. The issue is not a lot of people dispose of them correctly. A lot of the time they're locally grown, which is really good for obviously local farmers. And of course, it smells like Christmas, which is glorious. Cons to real Christmas tree is most people only use it once. So it's like a single-use tree. It's a lot of resources going into just a one-time thing. Christmas, like pine fir trees, are not actually native to Australia or New Zealand. So yes, it's great that we have lots of trees growing. Are they native to our forests and therefore thriving here? Probably not. And are they contributing a lot to our native ecosystem? Also probably not. And back in the day, the Christmas tree farm land would have probably been a thriving forest, which was cleared for the Christmas tree growing. And also they're often filled with spiders, and then they go all over your roof, and then you've got spiders everywhere, and you've got to spray it with toxic things to get rid of the spiders. Anyway, that's in brackets because it's like a little sidebar. But pros and cons to both. Next slide, please, Jessie. So after doing all of the research, my conclusion is obviously have a Christmas tree if you want it. You just need to think about which journey is best for you and do it properly. So in my opinion, I invest in a fake Christmas tree if you are going to store it correctly and look after it properly and use it forever. The research says to use it for at least 10 years. I actually think forever, like 10 years is not enough, because you could still have like 5 Christmas trees in your life or more, hopefully more, which are therefore going to be on this earth forever. If you cannot do that and you really want to have your own, that's a real tree, that is fine. But my disclaimers are only purchased from a sustainable Christmas tree farm. How the heck do you know? Great question. Literally, it's so easy. Just like if you're going to adopt a dog and you want to make sure it's not from a puppy farm, you want to make sure your Christmas tree is not from some rando person who's stealing it from like a national forest. Literally just Google the place you're going to and it will be screaming at you if it's a good one. They'll be like, yes, we're renewable and we use this and this is how we look after the land and we have this many trees and we replant them, etc. They will be boasting about how good they are. If you're looking and you can't see anything, dodgy, and don't go. So instead of just maybe getting one from old mate on the side of the road where you don't know where he's got his tree from, do just like a 5-minute research and you will have your answers. Also, if you're going to have a real Christmas tree, as I mentioned before, the most important thing is to dispose of it correctly. Again, so easy, easier than I ever would have thought. You just need to Google your local council, like Burundara Christmas tree disposal, and majority of them all do a free collection service. So they will say their dates of when they're doing curbside collection. Some of them you have to sign up for, some you can just whack your tree on the side, but just make sure you like research what dates it is because they're all throughout January. But the councils take the trees and they mulch it down and then put it back into parks. You can also buy that mulch if you want. And it is an amazing way to have that complete waste-free circular system. So both are possible. You just need to have a bit of a think about which one you think you can do correctly. Yes, next slide, please, Jessie. The other thing that we wanted to point out is tree alternatives. And I think these are really great, especially for people who are don't have a lot of space, or again, have gremlin children or animals that will destroy a tree. There's so many things you can do and they look sick. Like, these are way too cool for me, but cool people out there can do this. And it's also two birds, one stone. Things that are possibly going to landfill or waste, which you can use, like this pallet here. I don't know if you have an extra pallet lying around, but if you do, that looks awesome. Corks, wine bottles, even these sticks from like firewood, they look so cool and they can hang on your wall and be a real feature of your house. The other thing I wanted to point out is if you have an indoor plant, which I reckon all of you do, there's your Christmas tree. Put some sustainably found tinsel on there and there's your tree. So yes, just think about which journey you want to do, think creatively if you need to have a tree, if you don't, and what you want to do with it. And that is all I have, and I am passing over to Mel.
Thank you, Sal. Hello, everyone. I am Mel. I am a Christmas cowboy tonight because I'm not really a Christmas person, so I didn't have any fun costumes, but I'm getting festive. So I'm talking about food today because I think we all love a good Christmas feast. And most families, if you're like my family, it's usually like a smorgasbord of like seafood and meats and salads and, you know, anything everyone adds in, and of course the pavlova at the end. But if we have a look at this table setting, which my Christmas feast don't look as chic as this, but say it did, 25% of that would be in the bin by the end of it. And that's across Australia. That's the average Australian household at Christmas will throw out 25% of their Christmas feast at the end. And you look at it, it's such a waste. There's so much beautiful food there. But we've really become a culture where it's considered rude to not over cater, I think. It's embarrassing if there's, you know, not enough food or just enough food. Like, it seems like everyone thinks that you have to have more. And I kind of wanted to get some stats around this as well. And I hope this analogy makes sense because I'm not a math person. But every year, Australians will throw out at Christmas time, they'll throw out enough food to fill 9,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So when I researched this, it takes 19 days for a standard garden hose to fill up one Olympic-sized swimming pool. So if it takes 19 days for one swimming pool to be filled up, then that means it will take 171,000 days or 468 years to fill up the number of swimming pools that we throw out in food waste every Christmas. So for me, that blew my mind. 468 years, and that's done in 1 month or 1 day, really. And this is despite the fact that 1 in 7 people in Australia are food insecure. So it's a problem. Next slide, please. But the good news is you can have your pavlova and eat it too, because we all want to still look forward to the Christmas feast. So a few ways you can go about it. One is to grow your own food. I know for me, there's nothing more exciting to boast about when I have a meal is that I have grown the produce that everyone's eating. And at around December time, herbs and tomato are flourishing. So, and even if you're not a great gardener, you can probably grow herbs and tomatoes. And everyone knows how to make bread now after lockdown, right? So there's some bruschetta that you can just whip out and say you made it from scratch, you know? So I think if you can, try and grow your own food to serve on Christmas Day. For those who don't want to grow their food or they want something else outside of bruschetta, just try and plan ahead and be realistic about how much you'll need. We don't need to buy 10 baguettes just in case. Try and think about how many people are actually coming to the feast. I did look into this, and apparently for party planners, they have a rule of 1 pound of food per adult I don't know what a pound of food looks like, but if you do, then you're welcome. But what, because I don't, there is another tool I found online. If you can go to the next slide, please, Jessie. So, maybe click again. There it is. So this is a US-based organization called Save the Food, and they're all about how trying to bring down the amount of food waste in the US. So they have this app, this tool called the Guesstimator. So it calculates, it will help you, I guess, calculate how much food you'll need based on how many people you're serving. And it'll take into account things like if you have like a lot of people who eat a lot of food or don't eat a lot, if you have kids, if you want vegetarian, mainly vegetarian food, that sort of thing. So I thought that was quite cool. So yeah, check that out if you are hosting Christmas this year, because I think it could be really helpful. Next slide. Some other tips is shopping this season. Obviously that reduces demand for imported foods to be flown in at Christmas time, which is less transportation, less refrigeration. It's healthier, it's cheaper. We're supporting local farmers, etc. So in December, that's things like avocados, as I said, tomatoes, herbs, berries, melons. There's heaps of stuff you can do with that. Anyone who knows me, that my go-to for a potluck meal is a Greek pasta salad. I bring it every time and everyone knows that it's going to be there. So that's using things like cucumbers, tomatoes, herbs, all local seasonal produce. So that's one. And if you have any of your own Christmas recipes that you want to share at the end, please, by all means do. The next one is consider serving more plant-based options. I think a lot of people think Christmas and then think prawns, like Jessie here. And hams and things like that. But I actually think there are a lot of amazing plant-based meat imitators out at the moment. And if you'll click the once, Jessie, please. These are some of my favorites. And because I feel like people are weird about faux meat. But so if you want to give it a go, if you haven't already, these are some of that I regularly trot out, and they're delicious. The minced meat, I make meatballs all the time, and my husband, who grew up on a dairy farm, says he can't tell the difference. So give them a go if you want to. And then one more click, please, Jessie. Because there's also, if you are freaked out by faux meat, which I know a lot of people are, there's also just amazing vegetarian options that you can now serve at Christmas. Like that's a roasted cauliflower thing. That's a vegan gravy. That's a mushroom like sausage roll kind of things, like that. They're all from Jamie Oliver. So he's got like a whole thing on vegan, vegetarian Christmas ideas. So just Google that. Next slide. If you do want to have some meat or seafood, again, no judgment. I think we can try, there are so many, everyone's aware of the meat and seafood problem though. So there's a big push for more ethical butchers and fishmongers and things like that. I've just moved to Torquay on the Surf Coast, and we have a ethical fishmonger, and he's amazing. I got chatting with him, and he's up at 4 a.m. and he's meeting all the fishermen around the coast, and he's actually getting the seafood himself and vouching for it. And he uses the Good Fish Guide. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. But basically it's like this rating system of what fish is actually probably okay to eat if you want to, and what's being overfished and what you should probably avoid. So that's a good one as well, a reference for you to check what fish to serve this Christmas. I had a look too. So yeah, there was one in Torquay. In Melbourne, the Fish Shop with an E, Shopé, is a really good one, I've heard. And then meat. Canning's in Melbourne is a butcher that's based on the philosophy of, they give back, they donate a lot of their profits to things like Animals Australia, RSPCA, that sort of thing, because they're butchers, but they love animals, and they want to make sure that the animals have had a really nice life before they become food. Yeah, and I think I looked in New Zealand, again, I'm not sure if this is right, but I've heard Clark's Meat is a good one. Anyway, worth a Google. The next tip is to share and store your leftovers, because we can't always predict how hungry we're going to be. And even with the Guestimator app, you might get it wrong, and that's okay. So if you do have leftovers, obviously trying to store them in containers, reusable containers, rather than cling wrap. And one thing we've been discussing as a group is asking your guests to bring a container with them. Again, they're your friends and family. They're not going to think you're weirdos if you ask them to bring a little tub to bring leftovers. And I mean, most people don't want to cook on Boxing Day either, so they'll probably be stoked to have the leftovers. But if they don't bring a container with them if they forget, or you forget to ask them. Maeve had a really good idea when she said when she has a dinner party, she'll often plan ahead and start saving things like a Yummy's hummus container, or like a yogurt thing, like any kind of bigger containers. She'll just start hoarding them in the weeks leading up to having the dinner party, and then she'll just send us home with, hummus containers full of food. It's actually amazing. And then finally, of course, just composting any food scraps. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it really does make a huge difference. And back to Maeve, I think, now.
Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, this one, it's slightly awkward. We've all had those moments when the whole family comes together, maybe only once a year or less, and you end up talking to weird Uncle Rob, the flat earther, or Auntie Jean, the climate denier, or maybe even a parent or sibling who just doesn't care about the same things that you do or as much as you do. But our top tip is to not waste your time on the old grumps and just go for the kids instead. Sit at the kids' table and tell them all of your amazing ideas about how we can, work better for the planet. But also just remembering that not every battle is winnable. And it's Christmas, so it's not worth spending heaps of energy when you're getting nowhere. So forcing information onto someone or getting angry yourself can make you feel really bad, especially when you're already battling a food coma, and can send you backwards in your relationships, and it doesn't do a lot for the cause either. So we actually attended a how to have better climate conversations workshop that climateforchange.org, I think, hosted, and they had some really good tips. So they were kind of like, if you do end up with Uncle Rob, and you can't kind of get away from it, and you've already tackled the kids' table, try and empathize where possible was their first tip. So, I understand what you mean when you say, rather than just being really combative. Or, the best option is just don't engage if you can. Politely end the conversation when you can. Can I get you another drink? You look like you haven't had dessert yet. Let me just cut a piece of that delicious pavlova. Or, relate to any area of common ground that you can. A lot of conservatives are really interested in cash. So, you can talk about the fact that solar panels are a really great way to save money for families and businesses, those kinds of things. So, yeah, there are lots of different ways that you can save yourself the hassle of an awkward Christmas conversation. But yeah, just go for the kids. And I'll hand over to Sal to finish us off.
Amazing, thank you. We are very much almost at the end of our presentation. We just wanted to leave you with a final thought of having a conscious Christmas. So you absolutely do not have to take every single thing that we have said here tonight under your belt. Maybe try pick 1, 2, or 3 things and implement them this year, and keep building on that as you go. Literally every single action that you do is making a huge impact. And as we always talk about at Climate's the ripple effect, if you do napkin crackers, all of your guests who get it are probably going to be so wowed by it that they'll be talking about it until next Christmas, and then they'll all do it. And that's already how many Mount Everests less of bonbon waste. So yeah, we just want to leave you with just taking into this festive season, being really conscious about what you're buying, what you're consuming, what you're doing, what you're gifting. And by even just being aware and present with what you're doing, you're already winning and ahead of the game. So that is what we wanted to leave you with. And we want to say thank you so much for coming again to those of you who come and support us every time. We love it so much. Obviously, Merry Christmas. And would love to open up the floor if anyone has any thoughts or questions or anything, comments from this challenge. Feel free to turn on your camera. And if your name's Sally Hankridge, change it so we know who you are. I also was wondering if we can have a little competition. Who has had their Christmas tree the longest? Probably the Russells, but if anyone can compete with that, please tell us. I think, are you here? How long have you had yours for?
I am.
Yeah.
Was born in 1998.
Ooh, I can't do that math.
What's that?
I think Elisa said
yeah.
90s.
Whoa.
And it still looks great. Mum has preserved it very well.
I can absolutely attest that. I have actually gasped at how beautiful the McCormack tree is. Can anyone beat that?
Hey, Sal, one of my, I'm one of the Sally Hankridges, and it's like, it automatically changed my name to be Sally Hankridge, even though I kept trying to change it.
So
Just
fine, you just want to be me, that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Like, who else would I want to be? But that's all I want to say.
Happy to. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Dave.
I think the Russell Christmas tree is holding up quite well. It might be coming up to 25, 30 years old, I reckon. But we usually do like a Be More Like Wayne in every presentation, which we can be with the Christmas tree. Maybe not so much with the tinsel. My sister's here and she will attest to this, that Dad's tinsel on the tree is so well loved that it's just like a piece of string with the occasional tuft of like tinsel.
Except I will jump in and say I am guilty of like gifting him some or forcing some on him, some new tinsel, which obviously goes against this whole prezzo. But because the tinsel was so awful, I just couldn't see it every single, it like brought my spirits down. So I had to like gift him just a few meters to like make do. So
I can hear what you're saying.
Jessie, we didn't talk about advent calendars.
We didn't, but I know what you're going to say. Go on.
Yeah, this was an advent calendar that Auntie Anne made you kids before, you know, when you were basically brand new, and it's a cloth one made out of felt, and all the little windows come up, and you put whatever you want in those, and it's just a way of every year. Well, we've had it for 30. How old are you, Jessie?
32 and a half.
We've had it for 32 years, the advent calendar, and it's still there. And I think it's a really great way of saving all that waste of paper by just having a perpetual advent calendar you pull out every year.
That's a great one.
Love it. I've also seen other ones where it's just like a box of beers and you can trace on the top and cut it open and just one beer per day. Yeah.
I could send out a link to Auntie Anne's recipe for her plan for her advent calendar that she has, because it's really good.
Yes, we can share it on our Instagram. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, great.
Amazing.
Also, hello there, everybody. I'm not going to turn on my video. My name's Tan. Excellent presentation, as always, and really gets the brain ticking along about what we can do. Just in line with the Advent calendar, the other thing that could be beneficial, especially with kids, is having a stocking that is for them and they keep it through their whole life. And then anything that goes in that might be a big fabric stocking or something like that. And anything that goes in there is not wrapped. So it's saving on wrapping paper. They get that stocking, they get a few things in there. So that I thought that might be a cool way of reducing some of the waste for kids in particular, or even adults really, because everyone loves a stocking as well.
I love
Yeah.
that, Jan. Amazing. Anyone else have anything to share? If not, we can love and leave you. I mean, Sally Hangridge, it's not me saying something, but yes, Santa never wraps presents. It's so true, Sally. He doesn't. Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for being here again. And please send us any feedback you have on our Insta. We'd love to hear from you. And we look forward to seeing you at the next one, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone. Well done. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.